Okay, this is Business 342, page 88, problem number 7. The 6% preferred stock of a pharmaceutical firm is selling for $52 a share. What is the firm's cost of preferred stock if the tax rate is 34% and the par value per share is $100? Okay, really important to remember. The only thing that's tax deductible are interest expense. When you have a dividend, whether it's on common equity, common stock, or preferred stock, that's a dividend, that's a return of capital to the shareholders. So that is not considered tax deductible from the company's standpoint. You as an individual have to pay taxes when you receive it, after you receive it, but it is stock. Just don't even worry about what I just said there. Dividends are not tax deductible as far as the firm's concerned, so them telling you the tax rate is 34% is irrelevant because this is not interest expense, these are dividends. Okay, so I just remember the cost of preferred stock is RP, return on preferred, is or cost of preferred, however you want to say it, is calculated using the current price of the preferred stock, just like the cost of RE is calculated using the current price of a common stock, or the cost of debt RD is calculated using the current market price of the bonds. But the preferred stock dividend is calculated based on the face amount. So that what it's saying basically is RD is figured using the dividend over the current price, but the dividend is like a coupon basically almost. You figure that based on the par value of the stock, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. But the preferred stock dividend is calculated based on the face amount of the preferred stock, just like a coupon payment is calculated on a bond. So they're saying this is a 6% preferred on a pharmaceutical firm that is selling currently for $52 a share. So you're going to need all that information, but the 6% dividend is figured on, just like how it's figured on the face value of a bond, it's also figured on the face value of the preferred because it was issued at $100 par. So that 6% means that it pays $60 per year, excuse me, $6 per year, not $1,000, it's $100. Pays $6 per year in dividend. Okay, so you'll need that. But to figure out the return on the preferred, you figure out over the current price of the preferred stock. So you need the par value to figure out what the dividend is per year, which is $6, or 6% of $100 face amount of the preferred, over the current price. And that's going to give you basically the yield, how you figure a yield of the stock. But this basically tells you the return on preferred in this case. So P0, which is the price of 0, equals the dividend. Remember, there are consistent dividends with preferred, so it's just the dividend over RP, or RP, which is the return on the preferred, equals the dividend over the price, the current price, P0. So in this case, it's a 6% dividend, we know, okay, because it's 6% of the $100 face amount of the preferred stock, or the par value, over $52, which is the current price. That means it's 0.1154 or 11.54% cost of preferred, or return on preferred, depending on whose angle you're looking at it at. Okay? That's problem number 7. Problem number 8. Okay, a firm wants to achieve a target weighted cost of capital, WACC, of 14%. The firm's cost of equity is 17.6%, and its pre-tax cost of debt is 10.2%. That's pre-tax cost of debt. The tax rate is 34%. What does the debt-equity ratio need to be for the firm to achieve its target WACC? So remember, WACC is the weighted average cost of capital. Okay, so that involves the equity and the debt. So let's go back up here and use this formula. Okay, so the weighted average cost of capital equals the weight of the equity times the return on equity, the RE, plus the weight of the debt times the return of the debt, or the cost of debt. This is going to be cost of equity or return of equity, however you want to say it. The cost of the debt, so the weight times the cost of the debt times these two you multiply together times 1 minus the tax rate. You could do this first and get the after-tax rate right here, and then it's just the weight of the debt times the after-tax cost of debt. Okay, so let's go through the calculations. They're telling you that you want to achieve a WACC of 14%, so we'll put the 14 over here. Remember, because we express these percentages as whole numbers, so on these type of calculations. So 14 equals, now this is where you do a little of the old algebra. X, you'll use X for the weight of equity times, and it tells you that the firm's cost of equity is 17.6%. So we'll say X, which is the weight of equity, times 17.6 plus 1 minus X times, and this all adds up to, this is the weight of the debt times the after-tax cost of debt. Now, we know that the pre-tax is 10.2%, and we know that the tax rate is 34%. So the pre-tax cost of debt, the RD, is 10.2 times 1 minus the tax rate. You multiply those together, you get 6.732. That's these two multiplied together. So this is your after-tax cost of debt. So now you got 14 equals 17.6 times X plus 1 minus X times 6.732. This is simple algebra from here. 14 equals 17.6X plus 6.732 times 1 gets you 6.732, and 6.732 times negative X gets you negative 6.732X. Remember, X is the weight of equity. Okay, so you just add the X's together, you move this over to that side, make this a negative, and move it over here, you get 7.268 equals 10.868X. You divide both of these by 10.868. That gives you X equals 0.6688. Remember, that is the weight of equity. What are they asking for? What does the debt equity ratio need to be for the firm to achieve its target? So we solved for 14%. So now we know that the weight of equity is 0.6888, which we know that, excuse me, this should be, yeah, that is the weight of equity, is 0.6688. We know that the weight of debt, back up here, the weight of debt was 1 minus X, right? So we just subtract 1 minus 0.6688, that gives you 0.3312 is the weight of debt, which was 1 minus X. Okay, so now what were they asking for? They kind of throw this in, what does the debt equity ratio need to be? So the debt to equity, debt divided by equity ratio, right? They're just telling you what that is. The debt to equity is just the debt divided by the equity ratio. So you take the debt, remember this was the debt, 0.3312, divided by the equity, 0.6688, and that equals 0.4958. So those are problems 7 and 8. 7 was on page 88 and 8 was on page 89 of Business 342.